Hello again, I am Jim Bob and welcome back to Felsbrunn Farm. Just tidying up after the chickens here. A bit messy overnight, as you can see. Let's just tip that back in. There we go. Today we're going to be selling a few of our eggs, see just how much money we can actually make for them. And then we'll be taking the trailer down to the store so we can pick up some supplies, because we need to reseed our fields. And you can see that they have got weeds on them as well, but the weeder will not work on the fields when they're like this. I don't know if it's because there's straw on the fields, because we chopped straw, or it's the stubble, but for whatever reason the weeder isn't working at the moment. So my guess is that because of the state the fields are in at the moment, we can't actually do the weeding, which is a little bit odd, but it is what it is. So let's pick up these eggs and throw them in the trailer. One thing I have noticed is that it's now much harder to drop something. You know, before in 17 you just accidentally clipped a trailer like that, or a wall or anything like that. It was so easy for a log to go flying out of your hands when you were loading logs. I haven't tried it with logs yet, but in terms of these boxes here, so much easier. See how easy we were able to just pick that up and slide it into position there without it spinning out of our grip immediately, which is something that we're used to seeing an awful lot from 17. So it looks as though we now have much stickier, grabbier hands than before, which is good. And we've got a brand new box just popped in there. Let me have a quick look and see something. Yeah. The number of litres that you can see is indicated by the number of eggs in the box, not the total number of eggs. So we currently have 7 litres of eggs in there, not our overall total, which is quite nice. I wonder what happens if I put this box what happens if I put this box back in there like that. It should not change, which it hasn't done, because that's a full box and it only counts the litres per box. Not entirely sure what the total capacity per box is, unfortunately. I haven't figured that one out yet, but it's somewhere between 300 and 400 litres. I think maybe 350 is the capacity. So if it's 350 litres per box, then we need to kind of sell 10 boxes to get 3,500, which is the price, or close to the price, that we have for eggs over at Port Northwest. You can see there, that is the best price on offer at the moment, 3,247 per 1,000 litres. So, as you know, we wouldn't need to sell if it's 350. That's wrong. That would be 3 and a bit boxes that we would need to sell. So, each box should be worth a nice little bit of cash, but I don't know exactly how the egg pricing works, or the capacity on the boxes works, because, you know, on a practice sale I sold these boxes and I was getting way less than I thought I was, you know, supposed to get for these. So the egg pricing still seems a little bit wonky, a little bit weird, and you'll see that for yourself in just a moment. You just turn the engine off. So let's hook up to the trailer, take that down to Port Northwest. We're going to have to manually unload the boxes ourselves, because we don't own the port. We can't tip the trailer onto the ground with a manual tip. And because it's just boxes in here rather than an actual grain, you can see our trailer is reading as 0 at the moment in terms of what's in it. It's not registering as like a product that we can sell. So we won't get a prompt to open up the trailer. We'll have to either do a force tip somewhere, or just park it up and throw the boxes in manually, which is what we will actually do. We would need ownership of the port before we could just dump on the ground, which is a bit frustrating, because it would be really easy for us to just drive up to the cell box and force tip on top of the cell box and unload them off the trailer that way. But as I said, we don't own the port, so we are forbidden from doing that, so that people don't just dump stuff wherever they're not supposed to. So our plan of action for today is to get our fields, you know, up and running again. So they need to be cleaned and planted, and potentially at some point weeded as well. Because the weeder won't work, the cultivator part of our seeder should clean the fields and get rid of the weeds. And then we'll just have to keep an eye out for them growing again. And once they're grown, we can then kind of accelerate growth a little bit. Try and get our trees to grow a little bit faster, because obviously our trees are tied into our growth rate as well. So while it's great that we're able to control our crops a little bit better by turning the growth rate up and down, it is also having a negative effect on our trees, because when we turn growth off during the day to stop the crops growing too quickly, it's stopping our trees from growing as well. They're still in their sapling phase at the moment. They haven't even reached young tree yet. So it'll be a while before we can start harvesting those. We might go around looking for some loose logs. You'll notice that in some of those sort of custom forest areas that are around, they're not particularly big, but in some of those areas you'll find dead logs and branches and stuff on the ground. We're going to go around and see if we can scavenge some of those, pick those up, and at least get a rough idea as to what the prices for wood look like, so that when we come to sell our trees, it'll give us a rough indication as to whether it's perhaps going to be better to chip them or to sell them as logs. I get the feeling selling as logs will be better, but you never know. So here we are, and if we drive onto the cell grate, you can see one or two of the boxes will disappear as we drive up. We've made a quick 1,300 euros just there, but unfortunately we can't force tip it. We don't have access to the land, so we can't force tip the rest of them out there. So to get around that, we are simply just going to jump in the back of the trailer, lift the boxes up, and push them over the side, and they should automatically sell. And you can see we're getting interesting amounts per box. We're getting around 487 euros per box. A couple of boxes might be partial boxes, or one or two of these might be partial boxes, which is why we've got a little bit less. But it's certainly not the vast amount of cash that you would expect to see for a price that is 3,247 at 487 euros. I only got 55 on that box. Okay, bit odd. And only 177 on that one. That box doesn't want to sell at all. Why won't that one sell? Let's drop that one back in there for a second. There we go. At 487 euros per box, that means we would need 7 boxes to become 1,000 litres. So, yeah, again, like I said, the pricing seems a bit strange. You know, I don't know exactly what the capacity is per box. But it's certainly not what you would expect it to be. If we're getting 3,200 euros per box, then each of these boxes is worth a little under sort of a sixth of that. We would need 6 to 7 boxes, probably 7 boxes, to hit 1,000 litres. So that suggests that the boxes themselves are only worth a couple of hundred litres at most. Not even that, maybe 150 litres per box. And this one, there we go, now it's sold. And we only got 301 litres on that one there. So the eggs it's a little bit weird. It's not really working out the way I thought it would. But we have made some money, as you can see, which is good. It's not been for nothing. It just means that it's going to take perhaps a little bit longer to make money than I thought we would with chickens. And I still can't sell them either. So if we do decide to try and just get rid of our chickens, we may have to... We may not be able to at all. We may have to empty the pen out before we can sell. And if that's the case, given that I can't seem to sell chickens at the moment, that means that placeable is stuck there and I can't get rid of it because I can't empty it out. It's odd. I don't know why my chickens seem to be bugged and I can't sell them anymore. It's a bit frustrating. But I imagine that we should still, and if that's the case, then we would lose automatically all the chickens in there. Now, whether we would get reimbursed for those as them being sold or not, I don't know. And it's a bit of a risk potentially very expensive risk to take just to see whether or not I could do that. So I might do that as a test on my save file later on, and then report back. Just sell the box, see what happens, and see what happens to the chickens. See if it even let me sell the chicken coop, and if it does, see whether or not we get credited for those chickens when we sell the coop, and then not save, reload, and let you know. But now we're off to the store so that we can go and collect some fertilizer and some seed. We need to get the seeder fired up and start planting. And then once we've done that, we will do our usual routine of go looking for some contract jobs to bring in some extra cash. Because I do really want to get a third plot of land. We need 300 grand for that. And we are still quite a way short of being able to expand our farm. So I'll see you in a moment. We're arriving back at the farm with a fully loaded trailer, lots and lots of seed and fertilizer, 4 pallets of fertilizer, 6 pallets of seed. That should keep us going for a little while. Hopefully we won't have to buy anything else for a while longer. Let's park up the trailer just there, out of the way, and we'll unload it properly a little bit later on when we've got less of a time pressure on us. So let's bring the seeder out so we can get that refilled. Oops, I just disconnected the front loader arms instead. There we go. So we've got a little bit of fertilizer left, 142 litres, and just under 1,000 litres of seed still in the tank. Let's start off by checking whether or not we have a partial pallet over here. I think that might possibly be a partial. The shadows would make it a little bit tricky to see the forks. Zoom in a bit as well. Just need to hook the side of this. Don't need to get it completely hooked normally. There we go. We're out of liquid fertilizer as well, so at some point we're going to have to go back and buy some more of that as well. If I'd realised, I would probably have picked up a pallet or two of that at the same time. In theory this should be a full pallet, but it depends. It might not be. I could have checked actually. I think we had just under 1,000 litres in that, so that's gone. We can now start to take some of these pallets. Where's my trailer? There it is. Let's unstrap there, there and there. We'll get the fertiliser done first. I'll just put 1 pallet in. And 1 more pallet of seed, and that should be enough to at least get us started. We can always add more later. That's a bit close for comfort. There we go. So in goes the fertiliser. Nice and straightforward. I need to do the same with the pallets of seed. This is where I've got to be tricky. Well, I've got to be careful. It's a bit more tricky because I've got double stacks on both sides of the trailer here. And I don't really want to disturb the stack behind me if I can get away with it. There we go. Just nudging the seeder a little bit. And that'll be enough to get us started. Now, when I bought my Fent, I thought I'd bought it with an uprated engine, but as I was switching the wheels over last night, I realised it is still just a basic 511C, not a 515, so it has 115 horsepower, not, unfortunately, the 150 that I thought it had, which is why it explains why it's been a little underpowered on some of the jobs that we have used it on, where it's just lacked that little bit of extra grunt that I thought it had. Still, not the end of the world. Let's see, this in theory might get rid of the weeds, it might not, I don't know, and if it doesn't we can always just weed over the top of the seed that we're putting down, but we're going to get a worker to plant away for us because it'll be the quickest and the easiest, most efficient way to do that, and we're going to change the crop up, so we want canola, that's oats I think. Yes, it is. That's canola. There we go. So let's get lined up on the edge of the field. Overlap it ever so slightly. Just so we can make sure we're getting the full coverage. And away goes the worker. So, is that going to get rid of the weeds? It is. Excellent stuff. And you can see the percentage of weeds going down as the seeder moves further and further away down this strip. Again, it's a bit strange the way the weed percentage seems to work. It's almost like the bit we're looking at rather than where we're actually stood. It's very strange. Yeah, there we go. Seeder is off and running and busy putting canola into our field for us. What's the seed rate like on this? That looks slower. I mean, it's tricky to tell because we're using a small 3-meter seeder and I'm so used to using sort of 9 meters and above for our planting width, but that does look a fair bit slower than it was on 17, which is good because canola just, we ate through the seed so fast when we're planting canola. So if that's slowed down, that's a good thing. We can't do anything about the weeds until they start growing back again, so we'll just have to keep an eye on that. But the field will probably need weeding at some point. So let's start looking for contract work. See if we can raise some extra cash. We had to spend a fair bit today to get all those pallets. I spent over 10,000 getting those pallets in. So we really do need to recoup some of that cash if we can. Have we got any good, big harvesting jobs available? I've got another beet contract on field 17. This one's actually using the Puma, not the Tiger, by the look of it. Where is field 17? Let's take a quick look at 17. 17 is a relatively straightforward field. Nice rectangular shape. And where is the sell point for that mission? The grain elevator east, which is all the way over there, so that's a bit of a trek, but don't forget we will get a nice little payout of the job itself, plus a nice little payout for whatever is left over, so we might take that contract on. Let's have a keep scrolling down, see what else there is. Fertilized field 10, that's a big offer. We could go for another spray day payday. There's quite a few fertilizing jobs here. Not that many harvesting jobs, and they're all relatively quick. And this is what I mean as well. You see here, look, we're being offered the smaller of the two John Deere combines and the trailer and the header. And I'm guessing the +2 will be a tractor and a trailer as well, to harvest that particular field. Now, if we take a look and see where field 8 is, field 8 is this field here, and that needs to go to the train station mill, which is all the way down here. So if we were to use our own equipment for what is not a particularly big field, we're only being charged, what, less than €800 for all of that equipment, whereas if we were to bring our own combine down, it would take us a long time to get down here. It would take us a while to harvest that field because we only have a small working width, and on return, it would take us a long time to get back, and that's a lot of fuel being burnt off, and it's a lot of wear and tear on our equipment. For just 770 something euros, it makes sense to harvest using the equipment provided rather than our own gear, because, you know, it saves us all that wear and tear on our own equipment. For such a small leasing cost, it just makes much more sense to do that. So, yeah, some interesting jobs, nothing massive. There's quite a few fertilizing jobs. I think we could go with another spray day payday, you know. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go for another spray day payday, because that's a quick way for us to make some money. So, I could do with actually having the... yeah, no, I could have done with actually having the New Holland for that, so we could carry around the extra fertilizer, cut down on trips to the store. Okay, in that case, we will take on that harvesting contract instead, the beets. We'll get a nice little payout for the job, and whatever's left over at the end, we'll get a nice big extra payout on that as well. So let's lease items, and we'll take that contract on. So I'll go collect the equipment from the store. We'll take the Mahindra down there, because it's a quicker and easier way to get down there than going in the Fent. And I'll see you on the field. Ah, look at that. Some of our trees have actually started to grow. That's a new tree animation for that stage of growth as well. It just it's one of those wacky waving inflatable arm flailing droids, just sort of bending there, or maybe one of those. If it stick a pair of sunglasses on it, it's one of those sunflowers that sings when it or dances whenever it hears music, or Groot at the end of the event. At the end of Guardians of the Galaxy, when Baby Groot is dancing in his flower pot. Take your pick. But we have finally got a little bit of growth happening on our trees. That's good to see. So here we are on the field in the Panther, and this is infinitely more manoeuvrable than the much larger Tiger. Let's just unfold the harvester. It's pretty nice in here again. Really nice kind of little cockpit. Nice layout of the little info screens there, and it looks as though we've got a readout there which suggests maybe a digital readout of our capacity. Let's give it a try. Oh no, the digital readout isn't actually going up. That's a bit of a shame. I was hoping that would go up, but never mind. Let's just move across so we can get that end line there. Beacons are off now, we don't need those on anymore, now we're off the road. And the capacity of the Panther is almost identical to that of the trailer, so it'll be, you know, we run the harvester, we unload it, we take the trailer down, and it'll be almost a tip for tip kind of thing. Not like the disparity we had between the Tiger and the trailer we used last time we did a Beet contract, where we had an overlap of about 5,000 to 8,000 litres. This will be much more consistent, so it'll give us a much clearer picture of exactly how many trailer loads we need, how many harvests runs we need to do with the Panther, and then we can kind of build up a picture of how extra we'll have left over for us at the end to then go off and sell. Let's take a quick look while that's running and see. We're taking this to the grain elevator east, which is all the way over there behind us. Let's see what the prices are looking like at the moment for just anywhere else. We're looking for beets, and the best price appears to be at the moment Port Southeast, which is in the same kind of location, so it's not too far. for us to have to travel with the beets once we're ready to start selling ourselves at the end. There we go. Another road done. It's a bit messy at the moment, so I'll need to tidy that up. But this is again going to be another long job. It's going to take me quite a bit of time to get this done. So let me just line this up straight first of all. There we go. So I'm going to turn time down so we can try and get another one of these jobs in today. Like that. And I will see you in a little while. Okay, so we are on, I think, our third tip, maybe our fourth. I think it might be the fourth actually. Each tip at the moment seems to be worth around 9% of our delivery total as the train rolls through. There we go. Let's see what this does to our delivery total. If it's 27%, then that's our third tip. If it's 36 or in that ballpark, that'll be number 4. And we're about half an hour into this job so far in terms of real time. Still a long way to go. 27. So that was tip number 3. So yeah, still a fair bit of work to do. It's a long old trip back and forth from the field to the silo. Not helped by the fact that there is no clear direct route. There's a lot of kind of having to go on twisty little roads, going away from and then doubling back to our destination. One thing I have noticed as well while I'm actually in this, I can just kind of point it out. There is actually, if you pay attention to the dashboard behind the steering wheel, you'll notice when I turn on cruise control in a second, on that right hand sort of set of lights on the steering binnacle, you'll notice when I engage cruise control, it'll a little orange light will pop on to show that cruise control is engaged, which I'd never really paid attention to. I just spotted it a moment ago. So if I engage it now, there, that's cruise control engaged. You can just see that orange light. And if I turned it off, there we go, manual control of the speedo, turn it back on again, and there's that little orange light again. It's just that's the first tractor I've noticed that in. I don't know if it happens on a lot of them or just this particular, just these particular fence, but it's a cool little feature that I hadn't spotted that I thought I'd point out for you. So I'm going to carry on working away on this harvest. As I say, we've been going for about half an hour, well, more than half an hour now, I think, maybe nearly 3/4 of an hour perhaps, and still got a lot more to do. Another 7 tips to go, at least, probably 8 tips to go before we finish this field off. But my worker has finished seeding away on field 1, as you can see. He's stopped up there, not moving anymore. So before I start the harvester up again, I'm going to jump back to my farm. I'm going to check the seeder, see how much seed and fertilizer we've got left, maybe give it a bit of a top up, and turn the worker loose on field number 2 so that we can make some progress over there as well. So let's just park up here for a second. Let's jump over to the farm. There we go. And look at that. Oh, the rest of our trees are starting to come in now, which is quite cool. So maybe they're operating independently of the growth then, because I think our field growth is currently switched to off. It is. Plant growth is currently turned to off, and yet the rest of these trees have now popped up. So maybe the trees are independent of plant growth. That used to be tied in previously. Now it looks as though it's actually separated out, and the trees will grow at their own specific rate. Very cool. And we've only used up about 1700 litres of seed to do that field. That's a massive improvement on how fast we would burn through our pallets of seed when planting canola. That's much better. So hopefully canola will be a bit more profitable this time out. If we're not having to spend so much on seed to plant it, we can actually stand to make a little bit extra cash perhaps. Let's have a little top up. Those forks at the right height. There we go. And I think that should be enough to get the second field done, because the second field is a little bit smaller. I want to hook up to the seeder again just to quickly check the fertilizer level, because I might not need to put any more fertilizer in. Might be good as I am. No, we're going to need more fertilizer. So let's put the second fertilizer pallet in there. There we go, we can see the level actually going up inside the tank as well, which is kind of cool. Excellent stuff. So, I'll just leave the forks attached this time. It's not going to make a real difference to us, I don't think. Just make sure they're raised up a little bit so they don't catch on the ground if we hit a low patch or a divot or a bump or something like that. And let's get the worker up and running on field 2. Bumped a little bit there. There we go. So we are seeding our second field with canola. Now let's get back to the contract. Still a long way to go, as you can see. So here we are with yet another tip. I think this is number 7. We've been going for about an hour and a half now on the job, although we did have that little break in between just to get the seeder set up on field 2. Looks like he's stuck, perhaps. Is he turning? Check out the mini-map. Yeah, he's stuck. I wonder if we've been getting charged all the while he's been trying to turn around. I really hope not, otherwise we've been paying out money that we really can't afford to pay out for just sitting there idling. Let's get him set back up again. Let's keep an eye out for that, see if that happens again. There we go, worker away. So, yeah, that was load number 7, I think. 9, 18, 27, 36, 45, 54, 63, yeah, so that was load number 7. So we've got 4 more loads to go. Probably maybe that have a little partial 11, extra load on top of that as well. If it sticks to the 9% rule, then that means that we'll have 1% left over after 11 tips. Although I get a feeling it might be a little bit kind to us, and we'll only have to do it in the 11 themselves. Let's make our way back to the field and carry on working that harvest. Definitely taking some time to get done, this one, but at the end of the day, it'll be, what, 15 grand as a payout, plus whatever we can get for selling the beets at wherever we choose to sell them as well. So it will pay out. It will be kind of worth the time that we put in, and then we can use the afternoon to do some other jobs. And with the T6 being freed up, with the seeding being finished, we can probably go off and we can do some spraying jobs in quick succession and try and make some really fast cash that way. We had, before the day started, around about 90,000 euros available to us, if we maxed the loan out. Obviously we spent a bit on seed and fertilizers since then, so we've probably got somewhere around about 75 grand left. That's a long way short of being able to buy another parcel of land, where we need around 300,000 for that. So the quicker we can make some money, the better. We do still have that soybean in stock as well, don't forget. So maybe we could even look at selling off our soybean. Let's park up for a second. There we go. Let's get this restarted. There we go, and let's check what the market prices are like for soybean at the moment. 17.61 at the grain mill. That's not too bad. And the grain mill's actually quite close by to our farm in terms of location. The grain mill's at the bottom of the hill, so maybe we could sell our soybean at the grain mill. We'll keep an eye on the prices, and once this contract is done, we can certainly look at selling off the soybean for some extra money. Look at that, our helper is blocked again. And we are still getting charged, look, yeah. That's, I must have missed that last time that popped up. That's frustrating. There we go, get repositioned again. Turn off those beacons. And hire the worker. Make sure that we've got the overlap done. Yes, we have. Good. So, plenty more work still to be done, as you can see. But potentially we could end up with quite a nice injection of cash by the end of business today. Okay, there we go. Contract on field 17 is finished. We got a little extra there as well, an extra 294 euros. But there are still a few passes of beets left. So before we actually finalise the contract and close it off, and then lose the equipment, we are going to continue to harvest whatever's left, and then we'll take it off and sell it. So last time we looked I'm trying to remember which sell point it was that was good. Let's have a look. I think it was Port Northwest, but that price seems to have changed slightly. Let's get the harvesting done. Oops, there goes another signpost. Ah, dear, oh dear. I've been really good today. I've only knocked down, I think, 3, maybe 4 in total. I've been playing for a fair few hours now, so that's actually pretty good to only knock down 3 or 4 signs. You just need to clip them, and that's it. But yeah, we'll harvest the rest of those beets. We'll get them sold off. We'll raise some extra cash. Then we'll turn the contract in, and we'll get, as you saw, around 14 grand or so for this one. We're a little under 15. Just get cruise control on. So best beet price at the moment appears to be Port Southeast, which is actually where we've been taking these, or close to where we've been taking them. We've been taking them to Grain Elevator East. Now obviously that's no longer going to be the best place to sell them. But Port Southeast, pretty close to that location, so similar kind of route, similar journey to take. A bit of a long trek. We could also perhaps try and put these beets into storage, maybe sell them at a later date. I'm half tempted to do that. There we go, so let's just park here. That's what's left. So not a massive amount, as you can see, but enough to at least get us a trailer full, I would say. So 30,000 litres of beets won't be a stellar amount. There's 2 passes there by the look of it, but it will give us a little bit of extra cash just to supplement the income on this job a little bit better. I had hoped we would end up with a bit more than that, but you know, we'll take what we can get. Any bonus income will be gratefully accepted. As I said earlier, we do need to raise quite a bit more money, as we can only just squeeze around about 75,000 euros at the moment before this job is complete. So the job itself will take us up to around about 90,000. We need 300,000 for the new land. So it's still a long way to go in that respect. We're going to do some spray jobs once this one is finished. In fact, let's actually turn time back up again now. There we go, now that we've got the actual contract itself out the way. Both of our fields are seeded as well. Those are done now, so we have all of the canola planted. In fact, let's even turn crop growth on a bit as well. Turn that on to slow now, and then maybe we can even do a little bit of weeding before the end of the day as well. We're not even going to get a full trailer's worth here. Just seeing how little is left and how much is in the harvester. So not the really big bonus payout that I was hoping we would get, but it's better than nothing. You know, it's taken us, I think, nearly 2.25 hours or so, maybe even, you know, closing on 2.5 hours to get to this point. So the time that it's taken to harvest this field has been a lot, you know, but this will pay us quite well. It's a trade-off, you know. The only reason I went for this job, knowing it would take me a long time, was because I was hopeful that we would get that big bonus payout, which it doesn't look like we're going to get now. So I'm a little disappointed in that, and it makes me have to, you know, it's making me rethink how I want to go ahead with contracting, whether I want to do these harvesting jobs like this, and whether we just stick to spray jobs. The spray jobs are a lot quicker, they don't pay as well, and we have to pay for the fertilizer as well, so it's kind of a double whammy. But the plus side is we can churn them out really quickly, so we don't make as much money or anywhere near as much money as a job like this, but we get it done so much faster that, you know, in the time that it takes us to do one of these jobs, we could potentially be getting 3 or 4 jobs done, you know, that are paying the same amount, you know, spray wise. So yeah, it's one of those things that I think the spray jobs are going to be the best way for us to make money on contracting going forward. We will still do some harvesting jobs like this, but I don't think we'll rely on these. I think the real bread and butter of our business is going to be spraying. So how much are we going to end up? Are we even going to get 15,000 litres? I don't think so. So really not much at all. Yeah, that is a lot less than I'd hoped. Let's just make sure that we have got everything. We haven't got anything hidden on the field. So let's change the growth state. Scroll down over here. It all looks harvested. Yeah, we've picked this field clean. So all we can do now is just sell off these little bits of beets and then grab a couple of spray jobs to finish the day off. I think just try and raise the cash that way. There we go. Oops, went a little too far. So where are we going to take these? Let's see. Oh, the price is going up, look. Okay, so what we'll do then is we'll take these to the farm, see if we can actually stick them in our silo. It was said to me, and I'm trying to remember who typed the comment. It was a couple of episodes ago. I think it might have been Barris actually said that you can store sugar beets in the silo. Now, I haven't tried that because traditionally in the past we haven't been able to store root crops in the silo. This seems like an ideal opportunity for us to try that. So I will see you at the farm. Okay, silo grain test, or, well, root crop test, I suppose. It's not letting us do that. Sugar beet is not accepted here, so we can't store it here. Now, we can store it at a railway silo. There are a few of those dotted around, or 2 on this map. So we've got Railroad Silo East. We'll store our grain in there, assuming that we have access to it. Maybe we need to buy the land first. That's back down the bottom of the hill, so it's not a long trip. And as it's downhill, it'll be fast. And if this doesn't work, then we'll just sell, I suppose. We'll just sell the beets. Maybe accelerate time. We can't take on another contract until we close this one off, and as soon as we close that off, this equipment disappears, and so will the beets. So we need to make a decision one way or another what we want to do. And is it worth hanging on to things for several hours on the off chance that we might get a slightly higher price than we're getting right now, and then lose the potential money we could make on a spray spray contract, or do we just sell them straight away and get on with another contract? I think that's probably the way to go. It all depends how much money we can make at the silo, it all depends whether we can store these at the silo. Whichever way we go, we've got to get rid of these beets. So if we can store them here and we can then take them out at a later point, that would be preferable. And I'd be surprised if we have to buy the train silo to be able to use it. But we have to buy the BGA to use the BGA, so it's not beyond the realms of possibility. So here we go. This is the Railroad Silo East. We'll overload into there. And just to make sure, oh, there's a height issue there. We're just clipping the clipping that overhang ledge there. We can now pull those beets back out again. Excellent stuff. Okay, so that works. Let's close this off then. Wrong menu. Contracts, there we go. So complete the contract, that's 15 grand. Now we need to take on some spray stuff. This is a good sized job here. So field 12 is a good sized field. Yeah, we'll take this one. We'll just accept the contract. Our seeding is done, as you can see. Tractor's looking a little bit muddy. Been hard at work. Good to see that our trees have all grown a little bit. Oh, look at that. We've got some weeds coming through. In weird little chunky stages. So, let's get the spray, get the Fent weeding while we're off doing some spray stuff. Now, this should work this time. Obviously it didn't work last time, and I don't know why it didn't. The only thing I can guess was because of the field status. Yeah, there we go. Look, see? Our weeder is working this time round. So it's either because we had the chopped straw on there, or because we had stubble, or maybe both. But whatever reason, that is now up and running, and we are weeding that field. We need our seeder. And we need our front loader arms as well. Not our sprayer and our front loader arms. There we go. And the arms should be over by the chickens. See, another strip has then grown in there. And we'll have to make sure that we do keep an eye on that. Go. So I'm going to head over to the store, pick up a couple of pallets of liquid fertilizer, and start spraying. Okay, there we go. So the one on the forks has just a tiny little bit left in there, not much. And the other one is pretty much full, I believe. Yeah, it should be full. So we've got enough spray to do this field and probably get another couple done at the same time as well. And the crop is a little bit more grown than I was expecting. Oh, and I forgot to change my wheel type. Well, it doesn't really matter, I suppose, because we can't damage the crop. Just raise the boom up a little bit, but it is going to be a bit trickier to see where we have and haven't sprayed like this. It's tougher to see that sort of difference in shade between the soil. This is where I think Farming Simulator is missing a trick. I mean, we have the mini-map like this, and it's something that Pure Farming does better than Farming Simulator, because it has the interactive mini-map. So you can actually see on the minimap where you have and haven't interacted with the field in terms of spray, etc. There's that pile of straw, look, I was telling you about last time out. Still there. Still just sitting, waiting to be cleared away. But yeah, we can't see at a quick glance where we have and haven't sprayed. So this job is now potentially going to be a little bit more wasteful on our spray. Just hit the worker for a second just to get it straight lined out. There we go. I think what I'll do is, on this particular field, because it is so tricky to see, I mean, look at that. You just can't tell, can you, where you have and haven't sprayed. Although, actually, if I look ahead, I can see, just at the top of the screen, I can see my overlap. If I change the... there we go. Change my view angle, I can kind of make out where I haven't sprayed and try and get my my plot line accordingly. Yeah, there we go. That works. So I've figured out a way to kind of check and see whether I'm too close or too far away. Get to the end, turn around. There we go. Now the tricky thing is going to be figuring out how to stay in a straight line. I think that should do it. So I'll carry on spraying away. I'm going to do this job and then whatever other jobs I can fit in, and we'll close the farm down somewhere probably around about 7, 8, 9 in the evening when it starts getting dark. I mean, it's hard enough to see the crops in daylight, but trying to see this, do this kind of thing at night is going to be almost impossible, really. So we'll work as long as we can until we lose the light. That's all going to happen off camera because we've pretty much run out of time again. And hopefully, by the end of the day, we'll have a nice little pay packet, and we'll be that little bit closer to being able to go out and buy a new field. Maybe our trees will be that little bit closer to being grown, ready for us to chop them down and turn those into some lovely, lovely money. So that's it from me. Thanks for watching. I am Jim Bob, and I'll be back with some more Felsbrunn Farm very soon.